Hello everyone. In this video we are going to look at memory aids as an accommodation. Memory aids as a testing support represent a small number of students registered with ASC. They are not a common accommodation and are not typical for most students. Recommendation for this support is based on a review of documentation that supports a functional impact. If you have been approved to have a memory aid, the following will help guide you with the process of how to create and access this accommodation. To make a memory aid, it is first important to identify the information you need to remember. From there, you will want to create cues to help recall and organize the information on a single sheet of paper using mnemonics, visuals, words, and formulas. Step 1. Identify what you need to remember. Start by clearly defining the information you want to memorize. This could be vocabulary words, definitions, dates and events, lists, names, formulas, and/or concepts. For a memory aid to be useful, it is essential to start engaging with course material early on to help establish connections and identify areas that require focus. One tip is to start reviewing your course material after each class and see where you need to focus your attention on learning. You cannot create a cue if you don't understand the material. It would also help to connect with your professor to see early on what kind of information would not be appropriate for the memory aid. An example would be if definitions were being tested, it would not be appropriate to include the definition on the memory aid. However, it would be appropriate to use an image or memory tool to help you recall the definition. Step 2. Choose your mnemonics. Once you have determined what information and concepts you need help remembering the most, you will then create cues to help you remember the information from Step 1. Pick a method that suits the kind of information you are learning. Knowing what type of learner you are can help you plan out your memory aid. If you are a visual learner, you might want to use mind maps and images to help recall information. For auditory learners, rhymes or jingles might be more the individual's way to recall. Common memory aid techniques. Acronyms, where you make a word from the first letter. An example of this would be BEDMAS for order of operations in math. Acrostics. Create a sentence where the first letter is a visual cue. An example of this would be, "Every good boy deserves fudge," which is used to remember the notes in a scale for music. Rhymes or jingles. Put the information into a rhyme or a tune. An example of this is 30 days hath September, April, June, and November to remember how many days in the month. Mind maps. Include a visual representation of information with a central idea and branching related concepts. In this example, images are connected to remember the Piaget stages of cognitive development. Each image represents the first letter in the stage: sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Visualization, taking abstract concepts and putting it into images to make information more memorable. In this example, we have the image of a fist to represent the concept of empowerment. Personalize it. Remember, this is your memory aid. It is important that you personalize it and make the mnemonics unique to you and is easily understandable. The memory aid should only make sense to its creator and their memory. In this example, we have used the image of a baseball diamond to represent the 4 stages of Piaget's theory. On each base, we have our animal representations from earlier to help identify the different stages. Step 3. Design the memory aid. Once you have your information determined and your mnemonics, it's time to design the memory aid. Some tips when you are designing the memory aid include: make it simple and readable. Use clear headings. Organize content into sections and use borders or boxes to differentiate them. Keep it concise or to the point. Keep the text minimal and use keywords or phrases instead of full sentences. Chunk down information into smaller bits. Use color coding to group related information. Now that we know how to create the memory aid, let's review the process to access this accommodation. 1. Create your memory aid. One double-sided 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, either typed or handwritten. 2. Email your professor 1 week in advance of the test to review and approve your memory aid. 3. Adjust as required. Your professor may ask for some changes, depending on what is being tested and the essential learning requirements. 4. Once approved, the professor emails the memory aid to the test center. 5. Test center will print off at the time of the test for the student to use. Please remember that you must be signed up with the test center to access your testing accommodation. Test bookings require a minimum of 7 days in advance of the test date. Final tests will have an earlier test sign-up deadline, typically 3 weeks in advance. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the Access and Support Center and book a time with your ASC coach.